Sarah is returning to her native northeast. Holy Island lies 2 miles off the Northumberland coast. She's searching online to see if she can find any information about the Pegasus.
I'm going to type in 1843, which is the day that it sunk. See what we can find. Oh, here we go. So I found the front page of the Illustrated London News for the week ending Saturday, July the 29th, 1843. And if I scroll down, there is the Pegasus sinking. How horrific. It says, "It was our painful duty to announce the melancholy catastrophe, the loss of the Pegasus steamer, plying between Leith and Hull. The only authentic narrative of the sad occurrence is being given by a seaman, and he says, the children seemed unconscious of the danger. The surface of the water was covered in the dead and the dying. The screeching was fearful." Wow. That's horrific, isn't it? Covered in the dead and the dying. I think I'd like to know just what James was doing, whether he was, you know, sort of recovering the belongings of the survivors, which is quite sort of icky, isn't it? Kind of like moving a body aside to bring up somebody's case just feels really wrong, doesn't it?
The sinking of the Pegasus was the worst maritime disaster off the English coast in 1843. Sarah's keen to know if her ancestor profited from this tragedy. To find out, she's meeting local historian Jane Bowen.
So, Jane, we're here on Holy Island. Can you tell me whereabouts the Pegasus sank?
Yes, she sank behind Lindisfarne Castle. She had been coming from Leith and then she was going on to Hull. It was a passenger steamer on a route which they did once a week.
Okay.
But for reasons that aren't clear, she actually missed the channel and went straight into the sunken rock, the Goldstone. There was probably a loss of some 55 or so people.
It's huge, isn't it?
It is.
It's awful.
Some of the passengers who died on the Pegasus are buried here in the parish churchyard. Jane has found some information about James Holt's involvement in the salvage operation.
Perhaps you'd like to read an account.
Thank you.
Which was published in the Stamford Mercury.
By accounts received from Holy Island, we're informed that divers are actively engaged about the wreck of the Pegasus. The divers on that day brought up a box of the Reverend Mackenzie, whose body was found some days before, some things of Miss Briggs, a box of Mr. Hodgson, and a bag of Miss Flowers, whose body has not been found. The divers have 40% on the value of all they bring up. It's described as melancholy work, wrenching open boxes and tearing out their saturated contents. In one box there were many little infants' clothes, all most beautifully made and mended, proving what a careful mother had been with them. That's awful, isn't it?
It is.
Then there were relics of so much affection and so many hopes destroyed.
So they were bringing up a lot of possessions.
Obviously, the job that James was doing is clearly very important.
Yeah.
Because I think when it says that they got 40% of whatever they brought up, that does feel that that's quite money-driven, whereas it was incredibly important for the family's keepsakes. And
it was keepsakes. It was something to cling to.
Yeah.
And what some of them did was that they actually had notices published to try and encourage people to look for the bodies. And this is one of several that were actually published.
A reward of £3 will be paid for the recovery of either of the bodies of 2 children, Master Field Flowers and Miss Fanny Maria Flowers, cabin passengers on board the Pegasus steamer. Age of Master Flowers, 13. Forehead and upper teeth projecting, fair hair. And it's awful. Imagine having to describe the body of your child.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's gut-wrenching, isn't it? It said a reward of £3. Can you tell me how much that would be equivalent to these days?
That would be about 3 months' wages for a working person.
It's huge, isn't it?
It is. You can see that People were really desperate to be able to give them a burial and not lying in a watery grave somewhere.
In Victorian Britain, customs relating to death were extremely important. The Christian ideal of the good death was to die peacefully at home, surrounded by loved ones. Being lost at sea meant there would be no grave at which the family could mourn.
There is another account of the divers at work.
The divers are still at work getting up cargo and passengers' luggage. They have succeeded in recovering some very valuable luggage. Mrs. Gann and Holt.
Yeah, that's him.
Sorry. And masters of the dive and smacks have most handsomely given up. Sorry. Have most handsomely given up all that they brought from the bottom to the orphan children free of any charge.
The children had lost their father. 7 children, and there was nobody left to support them. And this is why your relative was making over money to try and provide some sort of provision for these children.
So while they were left with very little, they at least had something.
They had something.
I like him. It's astonishing just to do such a horrific job, and then the reward is helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was sort of important to know that he wasn't just doing it for money, that that he had a good heart.
Yes.
You know? Sorry for getting...
No.
I quite lost it for a second there. What a good man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going again. Sorry. I think it was really important that he wasn't just doing it for money. I am knackered. Yeah. I'm emotionally drained. But thank you, Jane. It means an awful lot to me. I like what I've just found out about James. I like that I know more about his character, that he had a good heart and that he had a conscience, and that he did the right thing. And I think that's what you want in an ancestor. You want somebody who is essentially a good man.